Omicron? More like, I'm chronically depressed. Peace, bye-bye.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. Going to talk about Scream 3 this week. And a reminder, Scream 4 won't be for 2 weeks. We're taking the week after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's off. Officially, we are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody.
Why is it so hard for me to remember what I have and have not recommended as a good thing to enjoy on this podcast? It's not like we've only been doing it for probably about a year now. And it's not that many things to recommend, but somehow I can't, because with the recommendation comes sort of a lengthy description and pitch for people to watch the show. And you'd think that if I didn't just remember something I flippantly threw out there, I would remember the discussion. But why can't I remember the things that I have recommended?
But the problem is, Matt, is also, of course, there are things that you will mention in passing as having liked that'll make it murkier. Plus, then I'm going to always be confused because, I've heard you recommend Session 9 10 times. Now, one of them was in this podcast.
That's cool. And how many of those times did it convince you to watch it?
The last time, because I bought it.
Okay,
I actually
good.
haven't watched it yet.
Good. See,
but I do.
So I guess maybe it takes me 10 times of recommending something before people will watch it. Maybe that's the key.
Right.
If we're going to talk about Scream 3, we're doing the Scream recaps here, but also we have breakout episodes recently, as of this morning when we recorded it, a Hawkeyes series breakout for the MCU's Hawkeye series on Disney Plus, and then also the Spider-Man No Way Home breakout episode where we talk for about 90 minutes about that miracle of a movie. And you can listen to both of those readily available for you. But today we're going to talk about something not quite as exciting, which is Scream 3, a movie that I have.
Not as exciting as Part 3 as No Way Home?
No, it does not. I mean, it's pretty meta. It's pretty out there. But I will say that I had mentioned that I had only seen this once in the theater. Nothing about it ever compelled me to revisit it. I think I remember it feeling that it was fine and obviously not as strong as 2 and nowhere near close to being as good as 1. But yeah, we'll talk about that. And then we've got a little bibs and bobs of news. And then we're going to take a break after these breakout episodes and this Scream 3 episode. And,
although we're going to try to do a Matrix breakout at some point in the
next few days. That's right. The Matrix Resurrections, which I'll have to see. And look, man, if I don't have the time to skedaddle out of the house to try to see it in the theater, I'll just watch it on the old HBO Max. I don't want to. I want to see it on a bigger screen. So I'll do my best. But Christmas Eve is tomorrow, followed by Christmas, and then the day after Christmas, and then the day after Christmas, which was my favorite Roland Emmerich movie. All right, let's start with some news here. It appears, Eric, speaking of all things multiversal, all things getting way more, granted, the MCU has a better handle on it than other people that have tried to handle the multiverse, but it's still confusing because I still can't wrap my head around what Morbius is going to do in a few months, but I'll deal with that's a bridge to cross later on. But
now there's an actor involved in both these projects.
That's true. The Michael Keaton effect here, because he's one of the confusing elements about Morbius, about which version of Adrian Toomes he's playing in that movie. Is that even confirmed?
That it's 100% him?
That it's Toomes. Not just Michael Keaton being like, hey, Doc.
It's not 100% confirmed, I think, but I think it's a safe assumption, especially because a couple weeks ago, he was on a talk show and he said, I'm filming some Vulture stuff tomorrow that people are think was a Morbius reshoot. They might have put more.
You think maybe he was filming stuff for Vulture and doing some Michael Keaton profile for them?
Oh, for Vulture, the outlet. Yeah. I mean, that's Yeah, filming some exciting Vulture stuff.
So maybe he's just really into sort of like Badlands Wild West photography. He's doing his Ansel Adams phase, and he's just filming roadkill and vultures, carry-on birds. Michael Keaton is now thought perhaps we'll have to see going to be a part of the Batgirl movie for HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Which so we already know that he's reprising his role as Bruce Wayne Batman in the Flash movie, which is going to directly deal with time travel and multiverse consequences and stuff like that. So as DCEU retroactively embraces the multiverse because they were all over the place stylistically anyway. Now comes so the news comes via a casting info from Warner Brothers 2022 film preview. Which apparently had Keaton's name attached to Batgirl. So nothing's been announced. It's all just because of this one preview from the WB where they're basically had his name attached to that. And this is the basically the movie where in the Heights, Leslie Grace is going to play Barbara Gordon. Mm-hmm. And Brendan Fraser is reportedly playing Firefly, and Jeffrey Wright's in it. Yes?
No, you keep saying that. J.K. Simmons, that's what is the funny thing. J.K. Simmons
He's the Gordon. He's the crossover.
So it's
Gordon.
DCEU. It's the Gordon that Snyder cast, J.K. Simmons. But now you have Michael Keaton in it as Batman.
Instead of Ben Affleck. So, okay.
Yeah. So that's where it gets like...
Will the Flash officially swap Batmans?
Right.
Is like Affleck's out somehow. He gets sucked into a portal, and like Keaton's Batman is the new Batman for the DCEU. Certainly seems that way. And then Jeffrey Wright will
look. One of these actors seems excited to be playing Batman, and one, is.
I feel like I read something, unless I completely made this up in my headcanon, that Affleck in an interview said that he actually had a good time making The Flash.
I think he did too. I mean, look, we assume he probably only shot a few days, which probably contributed very much to that good time.
He did Batman the way it should be done, which is like very lightly. On his own schedule and very quickly. And
right. I can't. I'm sure I mentioned this on the podcast, but just when the constant fan campaigns to restore the Snyderverse, restore the director's cut of the first Suicide Squad, and sometimes Ben Affleck should make his Batman movie, when I'm like, he doesn't want to, they're gonna force him, no, you will. It's like a total misery situation here. No, Ben Affleck, you will direct and star in this movie that you actively decided you didn't want to do.
Well, how is he going to act in it if they've hobbled him with a sledgehammer, Eric?
They'll work it out. Exoskeleton, Kingdom Come Batman. So
if somebody will just tell him that Jeffrey Wright will be in Batgirl, maybe he'll want to be in it.
There you go. It's funny. I retweeted someone on Twitter the other day who was kind of correcting. It was Deadline.
Eric, I want you to correct me about Jeffrey Wright every time I say it.
Oh, I will. Deadline had written a thing on the box office of Spider-Man where they threw in, the upcoming Flash movie is a multiverse movie because Warner Brothers knew, after they heard what Spider-Man was doing, decided they should do that too, which is not correct at all. Because
no, it's not.
We knew since 2017 that this Flash movie was going to be a version of the story Flashpoint, which is a multiverse story. I just said it. So you shouldn't be like, they're just ripping off Spider-Man. You should just make fun of them for how fucking long it's taken to make this Flash movie, which was announced in 2014, that they got beaten to the punch. It's just they couldn't get this damn movie off the ground because they couldn't get the entire DCEU off the ground. So now they'll feel like they're copying when they're not, and when the Flash comics.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. It's their own fault for now, for both fans and outlets getting the causality mixed up, which is to say, because one thing is coming after the other, right? That one thing has to be because of the other. So
right.
All right. The other little bit of news is that John Wick 4 has been delayed. I don't know, like 8 months or so. It was scheduled.
It was almost a full year.
Well, it was March so it was supposed to be May 2022.
Yeah.
Which is when Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to come out, and now it's been bumped to March 2023. So that's almost a year. So 10 months.
Yeah.
Which is good for me because March 2023 means I have 10 extra months to watch John Wick 3.
Oh, there you go.
All the wider berth I get for watching.
It's a fun action movie. You should watch it.
I will. It took me a long time to watch part 2 also. So it's just the way I roll with the John Wicks.
It's interesting because obviously we're recording this on December 23rd and Omicron is just running wild, and it's, a new wave of COVID is hit, which is making everyone, understandably be wary, and some things are like temporarily shutting down. We're not going to get to the point, I don't think, of like all the movie theaters closed. That's not going to happen, because meanwhile, of course, the crazy thing is Spider-Man's making all the money. I just think it is interesting as you're seeing next year, because big movies are going to come out next year. They're not going to all leave next year, but you have seen, I think there's still this caution of like, let's give everything a wide berth, which again doesn't help movie theaters in the long run if there's only like one big movie every 6 weeks. But the fact that like Indiana Jones, Transformers, and now John Wick all just decided, we'll wait a year. And those studios are all putting out other big movies. It's just like, I think there's this caution of like, let's not try to do too many things at once, too many big movies in the summer. We're going to spread them out still.
I don't know. Some part of me is also like, did they leave May behind just because of Marvel? Just because so many films are getting stomped by No Way Home right now.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean,
and the next movie is going to also deal with the multiverse and
yeah.
So it's literally
there could be that factor too. I also do need to say, because it comes up a lot of like, especially whenever we hear something like, oh, John Wick's moving, people saying, remember when John Wick 4 was going to open the same day as Matrix 4? That was never going to happen.
Yeah.
I know they were both on the same date. Someone was going to blink, because that would have been the stupidest thing ever for those studios.
They would just cannibalize each other. Why do that? Why pit Keanu against Keanu? Because you would say, well, just Keanu wins. No, both studios lose, or all studios. Yeah. I would just say that No Way Home, as of now, as you mentioned, the December 23rd, Thursday, I think it's made like $850 million. It's almost $1 billion under a week here.
It's going to pass. I can't remember the name of the Chinese movie that was the number one of the year at like 900 million. It's going to pass that very shortly and pass $1 billion shortly after that. It's absolutely incredible performance. That because when we recorded the No Way Home, the No Way Home podcast, it was still estimated to be the third biggest opening weekend ever, and then the final amount came in and it was the second biggest. It had passed Infinity War. And so only Endgame had made more opening weekend. That's absolutely crazy for this Spider-Man movie.
Well, you know what's going to make more than No Way Home? You know what's going to make more? Avatar 2, the movie that'll make us shit ourselves with our mouths wide open.
I have no idea. It might make more than No Way Home.
I don't know. I can't even, like, we've mentioned this on the podcast. I am completely torn between the fact that knowingly I don't care about it, nor does anyone I know, nor does anyone I see online seem to care about this movie, but also the fact that it's James Cameron and it's wrong to doubt him or to bet against him. And also this, Avatar at one point was a global phenomenon that people were obsessed with. Yeah. So, and it feels like forever ago when it wasn't,
but a global phenomenon that in the lead up, a lot of people were saying, I don't think this is going to be the big deal everyone says it's going to be.
That's true. People were very ho-hum and lukewarm on it, like just going into it as an original property, as far as like wasn't based on anything or a comic book or something like that. All right. John Wick 4 delayed. Michael Keaton, maybe, possibly, perhaps in Batgirl.
I think he's gonna be. Unless Warner Brothers fucked up themselves on their own listing. So
it happens.
It happens. I think it's more. It's more the question it raises. Like if he's in that movie, like what's the deal? Like him being in Morbius. What's
the deal?
What's the multiverse
deal? That's when he mentioned that he was doing some vulture shoots that was for Batgirl, actually. Right. That's making it all more confusing. Yes. So we are the Mattitude Eric. Like I said, you can follow us on Twitter at the Matt Fowler, the Eric Goldman. We enjoy podcast, and over on Patreon for $2 a month, you can get a completely commercial-free version of this podcast. And we enjoy podcast@gmail.com is where you can contact us or, just reach out to us on the socials and such. And let's get into our good things to enjoy. Now, next week, sorry, not next week, but in 2 weeks. So you've got a little lead time here. We're going to be doing Scream 4, which we already mentioned the gap between Scream 3 and Scream 4 with our recaps is appropriate given the gap between the actual movies themselves, because it was a decade between.
I think it was 11 years.
Yeah, Scream 3 and Scream 4. So lengthy amount of time. Now between Scream, there was actually 3 years between.
Scream it was like 2 years
3.
and 2 years
2 and a
and 2
half.
months.
Yeah, something. And there was a reason why there was a certain amount of delay for that we'll talk about. But what I was talking about right at the top of this episode is the fact that sometimes we'll write things in, and sometimes Eric will write things in for his good things to enjoy on our Google Doc, and we'll look at it, or he'll ask me, have I recommended this, or have I just talked about it with other people? And this week it was my turn, where I don't remember if I have officially recommended this on the podcast. I did have a backup in my head if I did, but neither of us could actually determine if I did talk about it or if it was just mentioned in another part of a conversation for other reasons.
Right.
And because it's actually a TV show, I can't just check Letterboxd because I can't enter it unless it's a miniseries. So, but I'm going to recommend it anyway, and it's called The Nick. I forget. Did you watch The Nick?
I watched the first season of The Nick.
Okay. It is only 2 seasons, and in that it does tell a complete story. It ends with season 2 with an ending. Could it have continued forward? Sure, but it also ends just fine. And it is from Steven Soderbergh.
But a third season is coming.
That's right. Now a third season is coming.
Yeah.
At the time, though, not so much. The Nick is basically a period drama that takes place at the turn of the last century, in New York City. So it's literally the year 1900 in New York, and it centers around the Nick, or Knickerbocker Hospital. And the big 3 characters are probably Clive Owens, Dr. Thackeray, and then Andre Hollins, Dr. Edwards, and then Juliet Rylance, who has been in a lot of different things, but people also know her as Bono's daughter, as a nurse. Not Eve Hewson is Bono's daughter. Juliet Rylance is a different character who is now on. Yeah. Eve Hewson is Bono's daughter, who's basically a naive Midwestern girl who moves to the city and becomes a nurse at the Nick. Juliet Rylance, is actually on Perry Mason right now, which is a great series going on over at HBO. That she's sort of a daughter of privilege in the city who heads up the Nick's social welfare office. And then Jeremy Bobb, who, man, he's all over the place. He was the Fool Killer and Jessica Jones season 3 and a bunch of other things, is sort of the smarmy hospital manager. I don't know. Is that a job? The manager of a hospital? I guess so. the boss of the hospital, the administrator. And this show came about when Cinemax was diving deep into original programming. They had their own original programming, which consisted of things with more pulpy fare. So you had like Banshee, and you had following that a show called Quarry, and then even more recently, it just switched over to HBO Max, Warrior.
Yep.
And they also had co-productions with the UK. So they had Strike Back, and they had Hunted, they had CB Strike, and some other sort of British detective / action shows. And this was a little bit outside of the gate because they had got Steven Soderbergh to come in and do a series, his first ever television series, that he was basically directing and shooting himself, because he shoots his own movies. Not writing, but he was directing every episode, which is to say he shot the Nick like a movie. He didn't shoot the Nick like you would a normal TV show with like episode by episode. And then, you'd have directors do a couple episodes and swap out just for production's sake. He did it all, and he shot them all. And that means season 1 of 10 episodes and season 2 of 10 episodes, this is a phrase that we, as part of our TCA bingo, a 10-hour movie, he shot it all out of order.
Right.
So it was very,
they had it all scripted, and they just,
it added a lot of extra weight to the actors, because it's one thing if you're shooting a 2-hour movie and you're filming like scenes all over the place and have to remember where you are mentally as a performer to get into a space that maybe at the end of the movie or maybe at the beginning of the movie at a sequence. Here you're dealing with 10 episode seasons.
Yeah.
Clive Owen plays a brilliant doctor surgeon at the Nick who is also addicted to opium and cocaine. Andre Holland is an African-American assistant chief surgeon who joins the Nick and is met with all sorts of wonderful racism, top to bottom. And I already mentioned who Eve Houston plays, but it is a great, mesmerizing, obviously wonderfully and beautifully shot movie because of Soderbergh, TV show because of Soderbergh, and I highly recommend it. Great drama, well performed, and a look at 1900s medicine, or
and how happy you'll be to not be treated with
1900s
medicine.
How horrible it was to be mentally or physically ill about 120 years ago.
Right.
It's actually horrible to be that way now, but it's even more so that long ago. Okay, you can watch both seasons on HBO Max, which is where the new season will land.
It was when HBO Max launched, much to the chagrin of many of us, they had no Cinemax shows. And it was just a baffling thing because HBO Max, HBO and Cinemax were already sister stations, same owners. The freaking name evokes as if it's going to be a merging of the two. And yet at first, none of the shows were there. Gradually, they all made their way over there. I think they're almost all over there now.
If Eric and I had actually come to a decision on whether or not, had we decided I had recommended the Nick officially, my backup was going to be Banshee. So I also recommend that as sort of an asterisk here, which is a way more violent and pulpy, fun show than the Nick. Very different, but also, available now on HBO Max, 5 seasons of Banshee.
My recommendation purely came about from watching Scream 3 because one of the actors in Scream 3 is Matt Kessler. I think that is how you say his name, even though it's written as Kiesler with double E. I think it was Kessler, but who, doesn't act anymore. He even at the time, I remember he sort of drift away from acting, and I see on his wiki page he is now a practicing physician assistant and instructor of urology, School of Medicine.
Does he work at the Nick?
He does not work at the Nick. But yeah, he was the actor playing Dewey in Scream 3, which we'll get to shortly. But he starred in a single season TV show a few years after Scream 3 called The Middleman from 2008. And that is my recommendation.
The one thing I know about Eric, if there's one thing I know about Eric, is that he is a giant Middleman fan, a show I have not seen.
Oh, you still haven't seen it? Oh, you would like it, Matt.
I bet I would like it if it was streamable.
So and that's the sucky. Well, it is available, but it is not streamable on a streaming service. This show was created by Javi. I'm gonna massacre your name, which I'm sure you're used to, but I still feel bad about. Javier Grillo Mark Watch. I always try.
Wow, 5 stars. Good.
Yeah. Hard to pronounce name. Very talented writer. He wrote for Lost and The 100 and a million other genre things.
The new Dark Crystal prequel series.
Yep. He wrote for that too. Anyway, this was his baby, though. The Middleman was 100% his show based on his own comic book that he was the showrunner on. It was a single season show that was on ABC Family before it became Freeform. There's a lot of frustration around its lack of streaming because Disney Disney produced this show. They own it, and it would be a great thing to put on Disney Plus. And he sometimes tweets that out, and I tweet that out, and other people tweet that out. But so far, Disney isn't listening to put a fun, all ages comic book based show on their streaming service that isn't based on a Marvel thing. But Matt Kessler stars as the Middleman, and he stars alongside Natalie Morales, who has been in a lot of things since like White Collar and Parks and Rec, and now she's become a director. But it's kind of like this thing about sort of a secret agency that's sort of fighting evil forces, and it's kind of X-File-y, but it's a very heightened show. It's the whole thing with the Middleman is a character that he's a very from the past type of guy. He's a very like milk drinking, like gee whiz type hero, and the dynamic. Of
what
course,
about the dark and the grittiness?
But Natalie Morales' character is the modern chick. She's like the sort of cynical modern 2008 girl who's teamed up with him as his new partner.
Same way that the Scream 3 actor made me think of this, Natalie Morales, I think, helped me pick my next good thing to enjoy. So I'm actually writing it down. So I won't.
Oh, nice. See, look at that. It's all connected. Anyway, only lasted for one season. God, was it 12 episodes? Yeah, that's right. There was supposed to be 13. They never got to make the 13th. So they would eventually do a reading of the script at Comic-Con, and then he'd put it out as a comic book.
Did you say they forgot to, or they never got to?
Never got to. Like, yeah,
I like the idea that they forgot to make a 13.
They didn't forget. They were not allowed to. But that's okay. It's still like just a super fun show. It's one of those shows that's like it was too weird to last. Although today it would have a better chance because today it would be on a streaming service and it could get three 8-episode seasons and then be done. Yeah. But in 2008, it was an incredibly odd fit on ABC Family. Just they didn't know what to do with it, but is a cult show. Like, you watch it and you're like, yes, this is a cult show, but super fun if you're into quirky, funny things. Unfortunately, like we said, not on a streaming service. It should be on Disney Plus, maybe one day. Shout Factory put out an excellent DVD of it several years ago that you could still order it, or you could buy the whole thing on Amazon, digitally for $10. So you could buy the 12 episodes for $10, guys. But I highly recommend it. It's a good holiday watch. It's super fun, super funny. There's some fun guest stars and people in it. There's also Kevin Sorbo, unfortunately, but you don't know what people's future will be when they're going to become big a-holes on Twitter. Anyway, I really enjoyed this show. I revisit it every few years. Matt Fowler would really enjoy it if he watched it. Maybe one day he will.
The Nick is not quirky and not funny and not filled with fun guest stars, but it's still good.
That's right. The Middleman, check it out. And thank you, Matt Kessler, for making me think of it. And then, we got Natalie Morales making Matt think of whatever he's going to recommend.
That's true. And you know what? Maybe the Nick is quirky. Maybe it's
a little quirk.
It's quirky. Apologies and edits. I think I said Banshee was 5 seasons. It is not. It is 4.
What an
it is 4 with a short. It got the 3 seasons and then the shortened 4th. That some cable series just kind of do to eke by. Hey, The Wire was like that too. As far as that, though it did go 5 seasons, shortened 5th. Okay.
I've mentioned before, I think I've mentioned it when I recommended Nikita at one point, which is like Nikita was a 22 episode a season show on network TV that only got, it was very lucky to get a 6-episode final season that, as much as we can begrudge only 6 episodes, but at least it got an ending, like they were given an ending. And also it's funny in the year 2021, like I mentioned, where so many shows are 8 episodes, that 6 episods is like, yeah, sure. A 6-episode season.
We just literally recapped Hawkeye. Yeah.
Right.
So we just recapped a 6-episode show. Yeah. So, all right. Let's talk about Scream 3. Which is now symphonic. It's all souped up and symphonic.
Well, he did a complete new version. Nick Cave did a new version with new lyrics that actually say Scream in it multiple times. He embraced that his song had become the anthem of Scream.
And this movie ran up against a lot of issues because of the Columbine massacre.
Yes.
And so now we're a couple years out of Scream 2, and
they purposely had not, they made the decision to not race another 1 year later. So Christmas 98, they literally filled the slot. The Scream December Dimension film slot was The Faculty. They put another Kevin Williamson written movie in that slot, but they said, we'll wait a couple years. We don't need to race on Scream 3, and then they ended up racing on Scream 3 because of how everything changed with this movie.
So basically, in the aftermath of Columbine, everything that had horror, action, or anything that leaned heavily into basically violence, video games, movies were basically raked over the coals, because what could have caused these two kids to do what they did?
And in general, yes, anything violent, but especially if it involved high school kids.
Yes. So Buffy's third season was very famously the finale.
2 episodes, but first there was the finale was the second episode that got pulled.
Yeah, got pulled, but then the finale. So that they both aired later, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we should but with Buffy, and again, contextualize for people who were not around or just too young. It's like, Buffy. Now, the first episode that they pulled of Buffy was actually much more understandable in the moment. In the moment of this being a shocking thing that didn't happen all the time, and it's a very sad. We can, of course, say where society's gone since then. Because the first episode of Buffy they pulled was about a school shooter. It pretty directly would have you think of it like 2 weeks later.
And wasn't it literally sort of like the who's the Whitman, the shooter in Texas from the bell tower, wasn't it? Right. It was sort of like a sniper rifle situation.
Yeah. But the second episode of Buffy they pulled,
and that was from the 60s, guys, just saying.
Right.
Okay.
But the second episode of Buffy they pulled, which was the season 3 finale, was a bigger than life snake demon fighting high school kids who had
graduation.
Axes to fight him. It was so not connected to reality, but because it involved high school students and violence, this was where we were at that moment. It got pulled. So that tells you where we're at, and the fact that Scream 3's original script was going to be set around a high school again.
So the original Scream 3 idea from Kevin Williamson, who was way too busy at this point, stretched way too thin to actually commit to writing a screenplay for this movie. Aaron Kruger was brought in, had the notes from Williamson. They wound up ditching the basic premise of that, which was a return to Woodsboro with new high school kids, with Sydney going back. And I believe the movie being filmed in there.
Woodsboro.
The third, so Stab 3. So we do skip over, no matter what, we skip over the production of Stab 2. And nor do we even get to see footage from their the Stab's take on the Windsor College murders. We don't see any of that. Including, I want to know who played Randy, Eric.
Right? Yeah, we never hear who played Randy.
And they decided to set it in Hollywood and turn the dial up on the comedy factor and the sort of the meta snark, and downplay the violence. At one point, Wes had to actually argue for blood to be shown.
Yeah.
And he was basically very adamant. He's like, look, we either use blood or we don't, or we do another movie and don't call it Scream. Because we have to still be Scream, or else what are we even doing here?
But also it's because while Williamson wasn't available to write the script, he'd written a detailed treatment. You're already going to have to overcome a huge hurdle, which is someone whose voice is extremely distinct in this, with this series not coming back, but at least it's he's going to have, he's involved. It's going to be his story. And now they threw out all that. And he was not involved in this new version. Even though he has a producer credit on the movie, he was pretty much uninvolved in the story they ended up making, which only kept that they were making Stab 3 as the only element that kind of got ported over.
And they brought in somebody, I think, who's only, for the most part, done mediocre things, Aaron Kruger. I
really like The Ring.
I was as an adaptation, The Ring.
Yeah.
I think as far as original stuff, his best things were Skeleton Key and Arlington Road. Yeah. He's written a bunch of different stuff, but he's also done the Transformers, the 3, 4, and 5, or 2, 3, and 4.
And just not knowing whether the good stuff he's written, the bad stuff he's written, his voice is nothing like Williams.
No, well, when you do this, you're being brought in as a ghostwriter, essentially. Right. You're there to ape and copy what came before you. Yeah. So in this is sort of when you watch this movie and things just don't seem to click that well. And it's some of it can be just the Aaron Kruger-ness of it. And some of it is the fact that they just sort of reconfigured this movie to be something different than the original idea and to distance it more from the violence that was the core and the heart of the saga and the franchise to begin with.
Also, you and I have talked a lot about how almost every big studio movie is being rewritten while they're making it and has reshoots. And to say that's why something turns out bad is silly because there's so many movies we love. But this movie, I guess the examples here are Scream 2 and Scream 3. This movie, like Scream 2, was being rewritten as they made it, but even more dramatically, it sounds like Scream 2, they had to make it up as they went along because they were given such a short schedule, but at least they knew what they wanted to do. And Scream 3 sounds a lot messier.
This felt very unsure of itself,
yes,
this movie.
Yes.
Also, my takeaway from the second time watching it is that a lot of these scenes play for cheap pops. Does that work in this situation? Which is to say, I remember probably sitting in the audience going like, that's funny that this is where this character is now, or, oh, that's a silly line. But that's kind of it. There's nothing that really truly resonates. And afterwards I was like, okay, in the moment, a lot of those things are silly and meant to sort of get a chuckle out of the crowd, but the movie doesn't work. Like it's like there are set pieces that feel like maybe they were pulled from Williamson's original notes. The best thing in here, even though it's filled with some silly stuff, is Sid like going into the movie set of her home and being stalked by Ghostface. Like that works. It feels like it was from a better movie though.
Right.
Somehow that still involved a movie set, but it still like feels like it was from a better movie. So it feels like a long string of like, oh, haha, and then not much sort of results in it. But let's talk about the facts. So this is in the aftermath of Columbine, major rewrites throughout the way. Wes Craven once again contributing a lot to the script and sort of the making of the movie as it goes along, story-wise, dialogue-wise, plays up the comedy more. There's one killer, interesting choice, maybe just to thwart the audience's expectations. Yeah. And Ghostface has this new superpower. Granted, it's rooted in technology, and whether or not you can actually do this, you could chalk it up to quote unquote movie magic that Roman Bridger has. But like his ability to mimic anyone's voice has sort of like given him this extra, basically almost supplanted and replaced the need for a second partner. You know what I mean? Like for a second, because he can lure people to places using this. So
right. And even the very opening, with the first kill, the fact that he uses a sexy woman's voice with Cotton initially, just to show you they're not playing by the same rules, that the killer won't always sound like Roger Jackson's Ghostface voice. Because we're so used to the phone call and that voice, but it's a very different voice at the beginning of the movie, which I appreciate. I think it's a fun little thing to throw in here.
Well, the other thing I liked was I like the ending set in like a big Hollywood mansion of a sort of a gaudy producer. I think that worked. I like the stalking of once again Gale and Dewey get stalked on their own before Sid shows up, just like Scream 2. And the stairwell thing was really fun with the phone call. There's like I said, there's some things you could pluck out of here, or at least feel plucked out of something better. But yeah, let's get into it. The opener, the which we called the first girl in the first two movies, which is now just the first kill. This time around, I still don't know how I feel about this. I guess I'm fine with Cotton. I feel like he wasn't fully explored as a character because he was so much of a red herring in the second movie.
Yeah.
That to see him killed off here was like, oh, but I guess the takeaway is that he really was just kind of that shallow character in sort of like morally gray and self-serving to begin with anyway. Like there really wasn't anything deeper to him. But Cotton's basically the situation of someone who's got done wrong, right? He spent a year in prison because he was falsely accused and convicted. And now he's basically got to briefly live for 3 or 4 years a life of minor celebrity and wealth, but that's it. Now the time's to pay up, and he gets to sort of like pay his dues to Ghostface and get killed along with his girlfriend, who did nothing wrong except love him. Played by, who is that?
Kelly Rutherford, who I loved on Melrose Place.
Yes.
Who was amongst the many reshoots, because originally the first way they shot that, we only see the corpse of Cotton's dead girlfriend. and then they decided that she would be alive and to do this reshoot where she thinks Cotton is coming to kill her because
you know what, and like the fact that like the Scream 2 opened with 2 people being killed, like you can't go back from there. At least keep it at 2. Like let us see it on screen. Let us see the knife go in. All right. So yeah.
Also, it's a weird. It's like Cotton. I remember when this movie came out, I was like, that's crazy. Like Cotton, he's now a talk show host of like the #1 talk show in America, I think they say. So
yeah,
like, man,
#1 syndicated. Yeah.
Okay, so he was like a convicted killer in prison, and now this. But I'll tell you what I thought of watching this. Where we fall politically, Matt and I. So you can probably guess how I feel about this person and everything. But I thought of Kyle Rittenhouse, Matt, and the fact that I guess I shouldn't rule anything out in real life anymore based on his like media tour right now.
Well, I don't know that
except it wouldn't be the #1 syndicated show. It would be a very specific.
It would be a podcast.
It
would be a web series, or he'd have his own show on some very, very out there like alt-right,
right.
Like social media or podcast network.
Also, I remember because I didn't revisit like the commentary or anything on this movie. I actually remember quite well. I think it must have been Craven who told a funny anecdote about the fact that when Cotton gets home, there's a dramatic moment for Cotton where he takes off his jacket and picks up like I can't remember like what he picks up bat or whatever he picks up as like a weapon.
A golf club.
Club. And he's wearing a tight shirt. And I guess Liev Schreiber had been working out a lot and wanted to show off the guns. So that was a little bit of Liev's request that Cotton would take off that
the Ray
jacket.
Donovans. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's a line that Milton, played by Lance Henriksen, says in this movie. It's just like where it's like later on when they learn about basically Milton's crazy 70s rape parties. Yeah. He's like, Hollywood's full of criminals whose careers are flourishing. So talking about basically everything that's sort of been coming to light over the past 6 or 7 years here in our era, specifically even, talking about Harvey Weinstein as far as like who's making these movies.
Oh, I mean, I guess if you're going to mention that now, I'll mention it because that's like a huge thing, something I brought up, but many people brought up, which is the whole reveal of the backstory of this movie,
and the idea of, and you could rationalize it by being like, Roman thinks this. So, okay, Roman thinks that because she was sexually assaulted and basically passed around and raped at this party, and it turned her into a slut. Like this is his party line.
But even putting that aside, what Milton says about his parties and maybe things got out of hand and she couldn't handle it would feed into this. So just the fact that this is a movie produced by Harvey Weinstein in which a very successful producer turns out to be this lecherous guy who has helped like sexually abuse what we get the idea is many women.
He's got the line where he's like, you either play the game or you go home. Like that's how you make it in Hollywood. So
the fact that when everything came out about Weinstein, I thought of Scream 3 pretty quickly, and others did as well. Because it's like this is a movie that he helped make that seems to be basically saying, look at this producer who is him. Who again, I think Craven was probably the place that most people were with Weinstein of being like, Harvey is, this asshole guy who sleeps around but didn't know the extent of things. But it's a weird aspect of this extra aspect of this movie now.
It's funny when you just to like pair it up to Wes Craven, horror maestro, who, there's an element of Milton that's based, on Craven too, is just as somebody who's primarily done horror, right? Like that's his deal, that's his bag. But then Wes Craven, reportedly from everyone who's ever worked with him or interacted with him, the gentlest, warmest, kindest, most compassionate, empathetic human being ever to walk the earth. And, just an incredible filmmaker and supportive and collaborative and all the things that you want in anyone in the creative industry. So, pairing those two together is just, polar opposites. All right. So Cotton gets killed. What we learned, the opening of this movie was confusing to me, Eric, which is that there's a helicopter over Hollywood. I mean, eventually, right away, it's telling you we're in Hollywood. Fine. But then there's like news reports. We're hearing about a crash. I guess we're supposed to I don't know that they even needed to give us a reason why there's traffic.
Yeah,
He could have just been in traffic without the helicopters and the searchlights, and we would have been just fine. So he's sort of basically, we learned very quickly, like Eric said, he's a talk show host. He's got a cool car. He's got his cool workout arms, and he gets killed. He had just finished shooting a cameo for Stab 3. So one of the things you might wonder going into this movie is like, hey, what is Stab 3 based on? Because the first two movies are obviously based on these events. Stab 3 is doing its own thing. So they're no longer sticking with reality, and Hollywood is creating its own version of what's going on, to the point where even later they're like, Tori Spelling didn't even want to come back for this. So,
and we're left to ponder, why was Stab 3 recreating the sets from the original Scream, like down to it looking like Tatum had just been killed and stuff. Like, so you're like,
the garage, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So, what was happening in Stab 3 that would cause them to want to have Sid's high school bedroom and stuff like that? But we'll never know.
If you put it into the mind of Roman Bridger, who's now creating his own movie, like he said, I want to make my own movie, I'm making it. Maybe this movie involved Sid having dreams or something, or maybe he just found a way to put this into the script somehow so that he could freak Sydney out, or I don't know, like this all comes from his mind. So whatever the story was, we know there's a character that, again, there's a Randy type character. He says he's an homage. He works in a video store. There's some character named Candy, and Sid, played by a new actress now, Emily Mortimer, in a early role. She would go on to change the world on The Newsroom. I'm just kidding.
And I would go on to interview her for Cars 2.
I think I interviewed her for Cars 2 as well. I think I did that junket too somehow.
I did. Well, I did the early press day because Disney loves those early press.
Wait a minute. What movie did I do it for?
So you might have done the junket.
Because I did do the junket. I did the live junket. Yes.
Yeah, because Disney does the few months before early press day.
I did the junket where we're set up behind the El Capitan or something like that.
I went to Pixar.
They set up like a Cars land. I went to Pixar for Toy Story 3.
I went to Pixar for Cars 2 and spoke to someone else who has turned out to be creepy with John Lasseter. So it all cycles together.
It all cycles together. But yes, a young Emily Mortimer, who you would know from Shutter Island, and as Eric just said, the voice in Cars 2. Lots of other things. Newsroom. What more recently? What you been in?
I don't know. Stuff.
Yeah, stuff. Doll on M30 Rock. Anyway, okay, so yeah, what is Scream 3 based on? What is this story? We never find out, by the way, because they're in production. We know that Cotton has a cameo, which again sounds like they are just recreating Scream because he had a cameo in the first Scream. It's just like news footage. So he gets killed to Creed. Creed song. There's a Creed poster in that room too, Eric. This all ties together with.
It really bothers me because Sydney had a Indigo Girls poster in the.
No, I know.
Screen.
So that's
and
why
they've gone to such
updated.
Lengths. They've recreated her room so well with the doorknobs that she can use to keep her dad out.
I'm telling you, that's a Roman Bridger touch because he blasts Creed in Cotton's apartment when he's killing them.
A Creed song plays in the closing credits after Red Right Hand.
Yes, and let's not forget the Fuel song that's in here too. The very, very specific 2000s music going on here.
I think Creed also had a song for Halloween H2O. There was, I don't know. There's a lot of Creed going on at that era.
They did not have a song in Creed though.
No.
So that's that was the worst part of that movie was all right. We go to Sid, and she is still fabulously wealthy somehow. I guess.
Well, her dad, clearly her dad is, he might be a crime boss.
He's a money launderer for someone.
He's an importer exporter.
Does he work for Kingpin?
He's always going out of town. So yeah, he's doing something shady.
Because she has another giant super expensive house with surrounding
North
land and
California.
gates in Monterey, which is where my daughter is right now, but she can only afford to live there because she's at the Presidio in the Army going to school.
Right. And we should mention that Neve Campbell was not as available for this movie, which is why she's in way less of it.
Yes, that's another part.
Dewey and Gale are in a lot more of this movie than
She feels very, very much like an afterthought for a lot of this movie, specifically the first half. And
then even the fact that yes, the last movie had that whole Dewey and Gale sequence before Sid comes in, but this feels even much more dramatic that everyone's at the house except Sid.
Well, it's because in the first movie, Sid's there. She's there from the beginning. She has friends. She has a life on campus. She's doing things. Yeah. Here, she's away from everyone, and then comes down to Los Angeles and literally has to meet all the supporting players that Gale and Dewey have been dealing with for half the movie.
Right.
Okay, so. Yeah, she's okay. So let's the aftermath.
She's got a lot of money, but she is living a sad life.
But that's the thing. Like following, it feels right psychologically.
Yeah. I appreciate again that they're trying what they're doing with her here.
Yeah, so she's basically mans a crisis hotline and helps women in trouble using a different name.
She's a recluse by choice.
She has a dog, which is for companionship, but also security that goes along with her. Many locks and many alarms and gates that she has sort of shut herself down from society, so much so that she actually also works from home. She doesn't go into work, predicting 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
The remote living.
Uses a fake name that she works under.
Laura. So so what we find is that Gale and Dewey have had another falling out. Though this time they seem to have been a couple for about a year.
Yes.
While he was recuperating, she just couldn't stand living in Woodsboro. She's still chasing. It's just they're more of a couple and have more of a history than they did going into Scream 2. But we still find her almost in the same place that she was in the beginning of those first two movies, which is like now she's just giving seminars on how to be sort of a ruthless reporter. And how to never take no for an answer and get what you want no matter the cost. And so, I don't know. She just keeps backpedaling and not learning.
I mean, she's not as extreme as the beginning of Scream 2, but yeah. The fact that she and Dewey didn't work, they do kind of reset her again to ruthless reporter.
Which is to say, Dewey and Gale, aside from maybe landing in a different place at the end of this movie because of the proposal and all of it, and her flat out saying, I'm done with that kind of reporting. Right. And granted, at this time, it was the end for this. It was a trilogy.
Yeah.
They go through the same beats as Scream 2 here. Same things, the bickering, the blaming, you did this, you did that, the coming together to investigate, finally getting stalked by people, and then, finding romantic feelings for one another again under danger. The same thing. And a big letdown for this movie, even though these are great characters, I feel like you can't promise something with like all bets are off and anyone can die, including the main person, and not have anyone of the main trio die.
Yeah.
Like, I know that they were doing that because there were certain fake out Sid moments where you thought that, oh shit, they did kill Sid. But yeah, the three still leave unscathed. Maybe that was the signal this wasn't a trilogy, because Randy in his videotape said, like, if it's a regular sequel, then sequel rules apply. Then forget everything I'm about to say.
And that ended up being the case, yeah.
All right. Can we talk about Gale's horrible bangs in this movie too?
Yeah, it's funny, I as someone who doesn't really pay attention, I'm a guy and I don't pay attention to hair and all, but her bangs are a thing, like on Scream Twitter. Especially with my female friends who are really into these movies, they like to joke about her bangs, but they are very distracting. They are very, Courtney Cox, you're a beautiful woman, and I love you as Gale. And this is a very distracting haircut that doesn't work. And
you know what? Dewey's hair doesn't look good slicked back either, which I guess was his Hollywood Dewey persona, right, which is like using the gel to just completely slick back, which depending on what scene you're watching, it's either in his hair or not in his hair. Like his hair changes quite a bit going out of the gel. This didn't feel like a natural way for Dewey to join the story, like being a technical advisor on this film a franchise where he lost his sister in real life. Like it didn't like him bumbling into the scene in Scream 2 felt fine because he's checking on Sid. This didn't feel right at all.
No, it's like, what does he think about them recreating Tatum's death for whatever reason they are in that scene? It's funny too, by the way, because there's that one moment with Stone, Patrick Warburton, where he is a total asshole because he thinks he's talking to Dewey. It's really the killer, really Roman. And he says something about like, you know, what are you going to get killed by, like, your sister? He makes some crack about, and it's the only time they bring Tatum up directly. And it turns out he's not even talking to Dewey, but I'm like, man, dick thing to say. But yeah, I don't agree. I agree with you that Dewey wouldn't work on this movie, or if he did, he needs a good reason to, versus just like a job. Like, you know,
yeah, and it is funny because they have with Dewey's theme, they're not doing the broken arrow again.
It's Marco. It's very funny. It's Marco Beltrami evoking the music that they took
a few chords that sound very similar to the opening of that broken
arrow. The twangy cowboy. No, yeah, it's very funny that he's doing that.
Okay, now we've got Patrick Dempsey on the scene as Detective Kincaid, and one of the movie's major red herrings.
Yeah.
If not the most red herring of them all, aside from maybe Emily Mortimer Sid at certain points. But yeah, this is the guy that they really are pointing at this movie. Everything he says and the way he says it is can be taken different ways, you know. So, and he's always so serious about it. And when he says it, like it's a killer menacingly threatening you. So, so much so that he could not be the killer.
Right. And he's the big movie fan, and he mentions Hannibal Lecter in Seven. And his partner mentions that, right? Okay, but he is a big movie fan.
Well, and that's the other thing. He grew up around the neighborhood in Hollywood, around the lots and the studios and stuff like that. So he gets the celebrity movie related crimes or something.
He also has a very big groaner of a line, which people groaned at when this movie came out, which was when Sid says to him, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And he says, My life.
Well, wait a minute, because she says mine too. Why doesn't she get the groaner?
Well, because it still responds. It's like hers. She's just doing him a solid by not saying that was a stupid thing to say. She's giving him an out.
She could have just been like, okay, like your life.
They also they do the cutesy thing with all the most of the actors in the movie. You've got Matt Kiesler playing Tom Prinz, and Jenny McCarthy as Sarah Darling. So Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s names evoked. And then they do this very funny thing with
Angelina Jolie. Yeah.
Parker Posey has Angelina Tyler and Jennifer Jolie. So they split Angelina Jolie's name. Although there's no direct Kevin Williamson or horror movie connection.
But then she did have a relationship with Brad Pitt. Yes. And that didn't work out apparently. And
this would have been when Aniston was with Pitt, right? So
then Tom could be Tom Cruise. Like, yeah, there's like piecemeal stuff from all over the place as far as like real life celebrities. One thing that stands out here is like they're all meant to be somewhat superficial. Parker Posey obviously playing it for much longer and for more laughs as Gale.
It's very funny.
It's very funny, but everyone else, I'm just saying, like, as far as like Ghostface fodder, like no one's, I don't care about anyone. Like I can make arguments that I cared about people in both of the previous movies when they died and we're like, ooh, that sucks. Here I was like, I couldn't wait for them to die. Like I just wanted them to fall. Like I didn't give a shit.
Jennifer's Parker Posey, Jennifer is the only one who seems like a full character. She's in a lot more of the movie. She and Gale are investigating together. Parker Posey obviously is always a fun performer, and I think she's very funny in this movie. This movie being played so much like outwardly wackier than the other movies,
to the point where Jay and Silent Bob are in it.
Right?
Like what the hell? What the fuck is going on with that? And then you can have Carrie Fisher in your movie.
Yeah.
Why call out the fact that she looks like Carrie Fisher, like she's a Carrie Fisher lookalike?
This is what it is about the trying to mimic Kevin Williamson thing. It's like, okay, he's very meta. The Scream movies are very meta, but this doesn't feel like his meta. Like, you know, it just
it doesn't. It feels
yeah.
awkward. And you know, what did we mention last week? Like the two big meta writers of the 90s, as far as like that goes. I mean, Quentin Tarantino also brought in a new way of talking about pop culture with his crimey, pulpy characters, talking about movies. But, you know, we're talking about Kevin Williamson and Kevin Smith. And so here we actually have Kevin Smith in
the movie.
in the movie himself. And it's very distracting.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird choices like that. And then, yeah, just there's like the scene when they're all at the house before the explosion, which is a giant fucking explosion. It's just like the lights go out and everyone screams, including like Gail and Dewey. And it seems like so just a different, the tone is so different in this.
The only part that I genuinely think I went and like kind of laughed at that I enjoyed was at the end when because they were always like, don't go off in your own traveling groups, and I think Dewey says we're all safe because we're together, right? And then Ghostface
punches him. That's a great moment.
Leaps in.
That's a great moment. I here's the thing. I mean, I enjoy this movie. It's enjoyable to an extent, but it's the weakest of the series, and it feels off, like, you know, and a lot of the things it's trying to evoke, because it's trying to feel like the other two, but yeah, it's not quite there, and a lot of things just seem strange. Oh, I was going to say about the characters though. Jenny McCarthy, I like most of her big scene, which is, you know, the scene where she's on the phone with Roman, who it turns out is Roman later on. We'll find out. But even that scene was funny because I thought, oh, they kind of wrote her contradictory, because she's very self-aware as far as like, why am I 35 playing 20, and why this and why all that? And then they go through this dumb joke about the fact that the shower scene's been done, you know, hello, Vertigo. So it's like, she's like dumb and makes like the wrong movie reference. I'm like, she didn't seem dumb like a minute ago. Like she was like being very like clever with what's happening. So
this is what I want to say about the Roman fake out for that, because that's supposed to take him off the board as a red herring, because obviously he's being framed by Ghostface, who's using his voice in the recorder. Right. Who knows that? He gets taken away for questioning. How does he out?
Right.
Like, it's one thing if the police found a recorder and said, oh, well, Ghostface can mimic anyone's voice. I guess he has an alibi if he needs one. No one knows that until the end when Dewey and Gail find that out in the house. Like, how does he get out of it? It gets him out of our suspicions momentarily. How does it get him out of the cops' suspicions? I never figured that out. Like,
I guess after that day, he's like, you know what? I didn't think that through. And that's why he just fakes his own death.
He's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Bye.
Right. He's like, that was just a really poorly conceived plan earlier.
And okay, so Candy gets killed literally after, you know, the same way her character does, which is like she dies in the second scene she's in or something like that. And I think that's what happens here. Then the movie's officially shut down. So at first Cotton's killed. Everyone's wondering if it has to do with the movie, and they insist that he's sort of a tabloidy reporter that people hate, that he has a lot of enemies anyway. Meanwhile, the killer is leaving pictures of Sid's mom, Maureen Prescott, who comes back in a big way for a very silly dream sequence, by the way, too, where she just looks really weird as a ghoul on the outside of Sid's window. It doesn't look scary. It looks cheesy. I honestly wonder if they put that in there so that in the dream, Ghostface can like sort of like leap at her through the window, and it's trailer footage for the trailer that makes it look like he's chasing her more than he does in this movie.
Although kudos to Lynn McRee, this was a kind of an unplanned version of what happened with Liev Schreiber, not to the, of course, the extent that Cotton was in a lot of Scream 2 and even got a big opening here, even if he was killed. But Lynn McRee, the actress who was literally a photograph in the first Scream, she's only in that once. Well, she's in a couple scenes because she's in the footage of like her sleeping around that they shot, and also she's in the dream sequence, but also that's really her, the photos
those are younger versions.
So it must have been nice for her that she literally shot a photo with Nev Campbell smiling, and then a few years later they like had her do a bunch of stuff for this movie.
Good thing she didn't blow up and she was available, you know what I mean? I feel like, again, there's so many things where if you look a little closer, they don't make any sense. So this right from the get-go, we know he's trying to find Sid. This new Ghostface wants Sid. Sid's in hiding. Only Dewey seems to know. We find out later where she is. And he's like, go hide. Nobody will know where you are. The cops can't find her. This new killer can't find her, thinks Cotton knows where she is. That's why he targets Cotton. But leaving the pictures of Maureen Prescott, I think they decided that he was doing that to draw Sid out. Or if anyone knows where Sid is, if I do this, they'll tell her and she'll come. But it also seems like a way that an easy in for investigation. You know what I mean? Like if the cops had a few more days, I feel like they could have figured out everything that Gail figured out quickly.
Right.
And it would have led them to Roman Bridger eventually. I'm just saying, like, you're giving them crumbs that would eventually lead them to you. But again, his plan, I guess maybe it works out, because in the end we learned his plan was to frame Sid for killing everyone. Yes. And that he'd be the hero standing tall. And in doing so, maybe we would discover, he would out himself as Sid's half brother, but he would be the hero and she would be the psycho who snapped.
Right. And by the way, like, once you got, Scream 2 played with it a little bit with the Dewey and Randy scene when they go, hey, well, let's not rule you out as a suspect. Well, if I'm a suspect, you're a suspect. But with Scream 3 especially, you're getting to a point now where they have to deal with the audience wondering, going in, will they kill one of the three main leads or will one of them be the killer? And so this movie kind of plays.
By the way, that's what we're still dealing with going into the new Scream.
Yeah, I know. And so, but this is the first time they really had to deal with that, because now they're on the third movie, and so they raise the possibility that any of them could die. None of them do. And then Roman's whole plan is the Sidney snapped and became the killer. That is often a fan, conception of like, maybe in the new one, Sidney's the killer. Will always happen, and it's already happening with the new one. That Roman was ahead of the game on that one.
So I also feel like, let's see, what do we got? I already mentioned Jay and Silent Bob feeling weird. He kills, blowing up the house feels very un-Ghostface. Very big explosion. Not very cash money of him here as far as like how to take someone out. Also seems very convoluted, like faxing somebody, the technology of the time, faxing somebody a script page, betting that some people they'll be in the house or not in the house or whatever. He managed to kill one person there. And
kills the middleman.
The idea that when they find out that Randy has left them a tape, and that's Heather Matarazzo from Welcome to the Dollhouse and the Princess Diaries playing Martha Meeks, Randy's sister, who shows up with a VHS tape called Scary Movies 101, where he has recorded back during Scream 2 when that was happening at Windsor College, wondering if he would survive. He posted the rules for the trilogy. Right. The funny thing about the rules from the trilogy is that a lot of movies actually do play by the rules of the trilogy. He mentioned a few as far as like Return of the Jedi, Godfather. Godfather 3? No, he couldn't have mentioned that. Yeah, he did mention Godfather. But we still deal with that to this day as far as like the third movie writers are just compelled to take everything back to the beginning. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong about that. But it's also not good. So the funny thing is, it's like, it's very rare that type of trilogy storytelling works. Like he brought up instances where it kind of did. But in general, I'll just speak for myself. I'm not a huge fan of that. We now have a word for it. We kind of call it retconning most of the time. Mm-hmm. Where the trilogy tends to retcon things in awkward and clunky ways. And so it's funny because Randy comes in and he's like, hey, guess what? By the rules, this movie might suck. Because the storytelling is going to be subpar because the trilogies always do this. And the insertion, whether or not it follows the rule or not, the insertion of Roman Bridger into the whole mix, as far as like he was the one who showed the footage of Maureen with Billy's dad to Billy, but then also gave him pointers, and then also like as a director led him in this direction and influenced him. Because the last movie, Eric, you and I were wondering how much the mom like molded Billy, right? Like how much Mrs. Loomis did. And now, sorry, my cat needs to get out of the room. So 1 second. Like we were wondering about that. And now we've got this new influence that we never knew was there before. That and when this happens, it also cheapens the villains of previous movies.
Yeah, it's like when I watch Scream 1, I'm not actively thinking about like, oh, when Billy is telling the whole backstory here, now I'm supposed to think, and after I talked to your secret brother about all this, that's how I knew your secret brother told me all these tips and all this info. I never really project that onto the first movie, but it's weird that I guess I'm supposed to, you know?
Yeah, I don't like feeling like I'm supposed to, and therefore I don't.
Right.
I pretend like it doesn't happen. And also, I was reading a little bit about how in an original version of the script, we were going to find out that Stu survived and that they had actually contacted Matthew Lillard to come back.
I was going to mention that too. I had Matthew Lillard written in my notes. No, I even talked to him about this. He has talked about this a lot, how he was paid for Scream 3. Much like Nicolas Cage was paid to play Superman, that he was in the Kevin Williamson stages, but he never read a script because that everything was happening quickly. But yes, he was going to come back. They were going to reveal that Stu was alive. At one point, he did talk about the idea that it would be like Stu's in prison, but he kind of has these teenagers that he's been communicating with. But when I talked to him, he said he never really knew for sure what they were going to do because he never saw a script. They just had some quick conversations about it. But yeah, that there was a version of this movie that Stu was going to be in, and Matthew Lillard got paid to do this movie, but didn't do it. So,
like we mentioned, Parker Posey is entertaining in this movie. She's a lot of fun. I don't feel like Dewey's role, his job on set, or as her reminder or her security blanket worked. I have nothing against Dewey showing up on set and having a fun flirtation interaction with a fake Gale because he couldn't make it work with the real one. I think that's funny. But like the fact that he's I don't know, he's a technical advisor, but also he's supposed to protect her because she yells at him specifically, like, you were supposed to protect me. Like, what is his job? Like, I don't understand. But it does lead to Gale punching Gale, which is funny because like technically a Gale gets punched in this movie, but it's not the real Gale.
And I mentioned how the first draft of Scream 2 had Gale punch out Debbie Salt, just thinking she was being an annoying reporter. Instead of Sid hitting Gale again, it was going to be Gale makes her entrance, punching out Debbie, who's getting in Sid's face. They cut that, but Gale gets her punch in here. And yeah, Parker Posey, very funny. When I saw the 4 movies in a row at the New Bev a few months ago, that was like the most crowd-pleasing part of Scream 3 was the reaction to her. Patrick Warburton is funny, has her bodyguard. The moment where she jumps in his arms, which I believe Posey came up with, is very funny. And Warburton's great because he kind of deadpans it. Like it's like he's used to this. Like, oh, she needs to jump in my arms again. So I'm just like ready for it. So yeah, I think they make the most of this wacky feel of this movie.
Like Scream 2, the killer's string of kills is supposed to follow a pattern, but quickly it doesnment follow that pattern anymore.
But they give themselves a funny meta out here, unlike Scream 2, where it just kind of drops
because of the rewrites.
In a series that's already meta, they're very meta on this specifics of making Scream sequels, which is who dies next in the script. Well, it's Jennifer, but then wait, there's multiple versions of the script to keep secrets from being leaked on the internet. So then it doesn't matter. And then Jennifer does have a very funny final line, which is, wait, I'm the killer. Like, it turns out she was supposed to be the killer in Stab 3. And that's how she tries to stop Ghostface from killing her, is yelling that I'm the killer in Stab 3. But Roman's rewriting in the moment. So
he's rewriting. Yeah. And at that point, he's just killing everyone because he's basically trying to fake a Sid murder spree. And then they even got to play with the two-way mirror in Milton's house as far as like what, the soundproof room studio in the second movie and Dewey and Gale. And this time it's fake Gale and Dewey. And there's some stuff in that house that works. I like that it's a giant mansion with the sets and the secret screening room and the kooky basement with the props and stuff like that. I can't remember what my headspace was, what I was thinking when I was watching this movie originally all those years ago. I don't remember who I suspected. In retrospect, now that I do know it's Roman, the fact that we actually find someone killed off screen should have been an instant signal.
Right.
Who gets killed off screen.
Right. Although they try to be as tricky as they can be. while giving themselves wiggle room, while by showing him opening the thing, which you're like, okay, it's like, is he thinking in the moment, I'll put myself here, and then he turns like he hears a noise.
Yeah, like someone's coming after
I guess
him,
Roman just heard a noise, you know. I was like, what's that?
Well, it's not his house. He's still unfamiliar with it. So
yeah, he's like, I hope so no one catches me faking my own death right now.
Yeah, he's like, hey, is the coast clear? I hope Milton doesn't have rats. Yeah.
As far as fake deaths go, yeah, we should always suspect off-screen deaths, but this one, at least, I think they do a pretty good job of selling it as best they can.
All right, we're kind of almost at the end here. We're in the third act, so much so that Ghostface is like, "Welcome to the third act." He tells Sydney that. Draws Dewey and Gale to the house using Sid's voice. Draws Sid to the house, calling her at the police station after we already suspect Kincaid. She finds a file on herself, which is not out of the ordinary. He would have a file, but yeah, and then apparently the endings were all reshot anyway, and Kincaid was added to the end of this movie, getting taken down by Ghostface
because they
twice.
realized
because he vanished. He
Yeah.
vanished from the movie, which is so weird to me. And then I guess even the addition of him at the end, because there are moments in this movie where he is played like a budding love interest for her when he's not being a quasi menacing red herring for Ghostface. That because the partner, even like his partner, makes reference to the fact that he might be sweet on Sid or something. He shows up at the end in a moment that the end of this movie feels like a dream. Yeah. Feels like a dream sequence where Freddy would suck the mom through the door. Where like when they're like, "Get in, Nancy, let's go," and then the Freddy lid of the car closes and they all scream or something. It feels like a dream because Sid enters and like doesn't lock things. And then she's like, "What kind of movie are you watching?" And he walks up with popcorn. He's like, "You're just going to have to find out." Who says that? When someone says, "What movie are we watching?" Who says like, "Well, that's our secret."
Doesn't she just ask what kind of movies? So
yeah, like, can I just tell her what kind of movie it is?
Right. It's a snuff film.
He feels like he's in a dream there. And then the wind blows the door open even. So the whole end of the movie felt like it could have been a gotcha. It just wasn't.
And they also said some of the reshoots were done to they added the whole Sid being shot fake out because they basically realized that Randy not only said anyone can die and they didn't kill anyone, they didn't even make it look like anyone died. So they just basically tried, like what you were mentioning, like the whole like, well, let's make it look like Sid died and we've established that she could. That was a reshoot because I guess it seems like they realized they didn't follow through on anything. They didn't follow through on the red herring. They didn't follow through on their threat to kill anyone and even try to sell it. So
and apparently she killed him really easily in the original climax. So they actually made it so she has a fight, which makes sense because she has a fight with everyone.
Yeah,
like why change that at this point? That seems weird.
And then they give Dewey the actual kill shot this time. It's like everyone gets their turn. Kind of taking out one of these people.
Oh, that's right. It is his turn. And I feel like so the short answer here is that he's a psychopath and he's completely mentally ill. But he finds out who his real mom is and like goes back to reclaim his life and like find his birth mother. And according to him, we don't know the full story, slams the door in his face and it's like, I have a new family now. And yeah, I would be angry. What's to stop him from reaching out to Sid? Hey, what's to stop for all these years? Hey, guess what? Hey, we're doing this left and right these days, by the way, Eric, with 23andMe or whatever, as far as like people. My dad just found out he has a half sibling. He's 83 years old. So it's just one of those things that just happens. And so like, reach out to the dad, reach out to anyone. Just like, hey, I'm not here to make trouble. I just want to meet you. Maureen wasn't that nice to me, but maybe you will be, sis.
I mean, he does hold his hand.
Boom, new family. Yeah. I just feel like there was an easier way to go than all of this.
Yeah. I like Sid doing the decoy gun. She looks for a gun in Kincaid's office. She finds it and it turns out it's a decoy because she has a second gun and she knows that Roman's going to make her wand herself. So she has the second gun in the same spot. That was a clever Sid. Clever.
They're both clever. I don't know she's gonna, how she would know that she was going past through a metal detector on the way into this place. I could more forgive the fact that she knew to bulletproof vest up just because she's going into a face Ghostface. But the one thing that was clever, but if you really look at it, I was like, all right, like that's right. Very silly. All right, Scream 3. Needless to say, Scream 4 didn't make as much money as these movies, but I'm glad it exists because I feel like even if there wasn't a new Scream movie with Scream 4, I felt like everything ended strongly.
Yeah.
Not so much with this, though it was an end, like it wrapped things up. It sort of completed certain arcs for everyone, landing them in a happy place. Didn't follow through on all of the trilogy rules, unfortunately, to enough to be satisfying. It only followed through in the unsatisfying part of the trilogy rules and not the other parts. So
again, I don't think it's bad, but I just think it's so much lesser. Like it feels like it's the pale imitation version. So some of it's funny, and some of it's fun, but a lot of it's just like you're not hitting the mark here. You're not. There
was a part of this movie where they were really leaning into the parts that they had with Sid for most of the movie dealt with her thinking of her mom and dealing with flashbacks and dreams about her mom and like going through her room and hearing voices from the original movie to the point where in the end you realize Bridger is doing psychological warfare on her and like trying to drive her insane or make her look insane before he blames her for snapping. Because it's like, was there anyone even here in the, was Ghostface here? And she's like, I saw him, and like they think she's crazy. That didn't land very well. Like there could have been more to make her feel, crazy in the eyes of the people around her. It's just that she wasn't in the movie enough.
Right.
She shows up and they only had like really one chance to do it. But if she were in the movie more, they could have, sort of nailed that particular storyline a little better.
And then a couple little final thoughts I had on the Stab series, which again, the Stab series is just sort of bizarre, like trying to like it's just a weird creation because it's like it's based on our true events, which it just feels like it wouldn't be such a it just feels like people would like look down on it, which isn't to say it couldn't be a success, but it just feels like, man, this is like very bad taste given this is like very recent events of like 2 major murders happened. But then I'm so curious what Stab 3 is. Like you said, we don't know that much about except that they must be making shit up. They were either gonna kill Gail or make her the killer. So they're taking this woman, this real life, like, reporter, and just being like, we're going to do whatever the hell we want with her. So that's interesting. Also, in the meta aspect of themselves at this point, making these movies, as we mentioned, they make the joke about there's multiple versions of the script to keep it off the internet. Also, I did chuckle at Roman saying he only did Stab 3 to get to do like the romance movie he really wanted to direct. It's the only way they let him do it. Because the movie that Wes Craven directed in between Scream 2 and 3 is
Music of the Heart.
The only non-genre movie
a huge outlier on his IMDb page, which is crazy.
But it's the movie Meryl Streep used the success of the Scream movies to get Weinstein's to let him make this inspirational story about a music teacher. Teaching from the heart is what I gather, Matt. I haven't seen the movie.
Well, it's kind of like Nick Chapman from the Big Picture. Like he wants to make his black and white drama set in a cabin with 3 characters, and to do that he has to go Hollywood.
That is one of our more obscure pulls ever. The Big Picture is a very funny movie with Kevin Bacon, but it's a very obscure movie
directed by Christopher Guest. Very funny,
but it's not a mockumentary.
Written by Guest and McKeon. Not a mockumentary. Before the mockumentary started up, I believe. Oh no,
after Spinal Tap.
After Spinal Tap, but there was a gap. There was a gap between after the tap.
A mock-you-gap.
Mock-you-gappery. All right. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with Scream 4. I think my second favorite Scream movie.
So it's a great one. It might be mine too. I think it might be my second favorite as well.
All righty. Until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Ghostface, Shockma.
Chocolate.